In my new ebook, I talk about the top 10 trading mistakes, and I want to talk about some of those same mistakes in this podcast and video right now. Let me share more details with you. Hi, it's Andrew Mitchem here, the Forex Trading Coach. Today is Friday, the 11th of April. And my latest chapter, Chapter 14 from my new ebook, From Dairy Farmer to Forex Trader, has been an enormous hit. I've had some just amazing feedback from people. People have really enjoyed the story, but Chapter 14 is all about what I believe are the top 10 trading mistakes. And I put those in the book because they're mistakes that I've made and I've learned from. And throughout the last 5 years as being a Forex coach as well, they're mistakes that I see people constantly making. And so the aim as a Forex coach also is to help people overcome those mistakes. Not only, of course, to trade profitably, but if you eliminate a lot of those mistakes and put a good strategy together with it, then, of course, naturally you're going to iron out a lot of those flaws from people's trading. And so I've mentioned quite a number of those things that you can change and mistakes that you can eliminate already in these videos and podcasts in the past. But I've got three more I'd like to talk about right now in this one. The first one is to always treat your demo account as though it were a live account. And it's a really important point because you see brokers, they give you the option to open up a $50,000 or a $100,000 or a $500,000 account. Whereas really, how many people go and open a $100,000 account for your very first live trading account? And it doesn't matter whether you're a multi-millionaire. The likelihood is you're not going to open your first live account with $100,000. And so it's quite a deceptive way on behalf of the brokers, really, to get people to lured into a false sense of security. And see, people not only treat a demo as a bit of a game, a bit of a gambling monopoly money, but they also, when they do strike it lucky, they do tend to make a lot of money on demo. And I did exactly the same myself. I was making like thousands of dollars per day or tens of thousands of dollars per day at one stage on a demo. But when it came to reality, I was on a $10,000 live account and I was making a few dollars or maybe sort of $100 at the very most per trade. And so it's a bit of a knock, I suppose you could call it, when you go live. And you're not going to be making that vast amount of money that you've been expecting to. So the point is, if you think that you are going to be opening your first live account with a $10,000 account, make sure that you open your demo account with $10,000 and trade it exactly the same way. Now, of course, the emotions aren't there, but you really need to do your best to make sure that your demo account is traded and you treat it the same way as if you would a live account. It just makes the transition far easier. The second point that I want to talk about is don't expect your trading to be outstanding from day one. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter how many courses you've taken, even if it's my course, you're not going to make a lot of money from day one. And I'm sorry if that's a bit blunt, but it's the reality, because trading takes time. You can have the best system and the best strategy and the best coach, but you still need time to develop that for yourself and to learn that for yourself. And I'd rather, and I say this to clients quite honestly, quite openly, I'd rather you take a few months to get to understand the strategy and to get a feel of things and to develop your own take on things than to rush in, bullet in a china shop and head first and try and make a fortune in the first week or the first month and then lose your confidence. I'd much rather that people take several months and then come back to me in, like, say, 6 months or a year's time and say, look, Andrew, it took me a little while to get going. But now I'm just loving my trading and I'm making some really good money from my trading. Just allow yourself a bit of time. It's a really important point that most people cannot grasp when they start. The last point I wanted to mention today is about don't jump and chop and change strategies. Again, people I find, if all of a sudden they have a week that doesn't make them money, or even a day that doesn't make them money, they suddenly want to go out there researching the internet for the next latest, greatest, holy grail, save the world type of indicator. And of course it doesn't exist, does it? It's, if you have a strategy, you are not going to get a perfect line doing that in your equity curve. You're going to have times when you have drawdowns and really good weeks and little drawdowns. This week, for instance, I'm only up 1.5% all up. Yet the last couple of weeks I was reporting here on these videos and podcasts at over 6% per week. Next week might be negative, you just don't know. But you've got to take the rough with the smooth, and you can't expect every week to be the perfect week. Again, it just won't happen. So on to the charts themselves. This week we've seen a huge amount of weakness in the US dollar. And that's followed on from the non-farm payrolls. They weren't quite as good as I expected. They were slightly negative. But regardless of the news, the US dollar has weakened quite considerably against most other currencies this week. And we've seen strength in the euro, the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, and the Australian dollar. They've been the main four big gainers for the week. The US has been the main loser for the week in terms of being the weakest currency. So that's it for this podcast and video. Hope you've really enjoyed it. Don't forget that my ebook is almost complete. Just got one more chapter to be released, and then the book will be available as a hard or as a physical book, a hard copy, paperback copy on Amazon within a few weeks from now, and also available as a download on Kindle. So if that interests you, just drop me a line and I'll let you know more about that. Don't forget also, next week is Easter, so expect the end of next week to be a little bit quiet. But also don't forget to jump onto my free webinars that I hold. There are 2 different types of webinars held twice each per week. I'm holding those again next week, so if you have not attended one of those yet, and you're either new to trading or you've been trading for a while and you're a bit frustrated, depending on which side of the fence you're on there's a webinar there for you. The other thing I wanted to mention just quickly is the lot size calculator is a brilliant tool, great feedback from it. If you haven't got it yet, make sure you download a copy from my website. So that's all for now. Have a fantastic weekend. This is Andrew Mitchem from the Forex Trading Coach.